from Alpaca Direct, and we're back in the shop. It's awesome. We had a great vacation in Canada, and I'm so sorry about last week. We had a hard time downloading our Facebook Live post, and it just didn't work that well because the internet there is kind of splotchy. And so, but we had a great vacation and we're back, and so today I'm hoping that the Facebook Live post will be much better and run very smoothly now that we're home. So it's always nice to go on vacation. It was lovely to be in the nice cool air, and we're back here today, and it's going to be up to 100 degrees I think, which is very hot for us here in Hayden. So we have our air conditioners running full blast trying to keep us cool, and I hope everyone out there is staying cool and safe in this hot weather and drinking plenty of water. So let's get on with our post, and the first thing that we're going to be talking about today is we're going to be talking about a pattern, and this is the zigzag pattern. And the reason why I chose this pattern is it's relatively easy, so I can get the idea across to you of what I'm trying to tell you to reach and try to do for yourself on different patterns. And so I wanted to get this idea with this zigzag pattern. Plus, there have been about 7,000 projects on Ravelry that have been made with this exact scarf pattern, and so it's a great social knitting pattern, and I really enjoyed making it. And it is with the Mille Pillory, and this is 100% superwash and merino, and it has long colorways. And what I did is on the edges here I slipped the stitch. The first stitch of the row I would knit, and then when I got to the very last stitch I would slip it purlwise with the yarn in front, so that when I turned my work over again I was ready to knit. So that's how you make that beautiful edge in there. And so we are just going to be talking about this pattern. Also, I wanted to let you know that last week we had a winner for our Kreinik custom quarter. And this, if you remember last week, it was a little machine thing that we use to make cording. And I never actually brought it with me, but we did show it in last week's Facebook Live post, and I think it's up now so you can watch it. If you haven't watched it yet, go ahead and watch it. And so this was the prize for last week. And then this week our prize will be for my baggie, and it's a set of 2, and they have zippered tops, and you can put little notions in them, or you can use them when you travel. And this is called the zebra print, and we just got it in, and so I thought it would be a great prize for someone to win, to put their notions or use it when traveling. So that'll be the prize for this week. Also, when we're talking about these patterns that have projects and they are beautiful and we want to accessorize them, I was also thinking about this Cowl, and this is called, it's by Little Monkeys Crochet on Ravelry, and it's free pattern. And the young lady who has designed these projects is called Rebecca Langford. And I wanted to give you an idea of what I'm talking about when I'm talking about different projects using the same stitches. So this first one, this is using a large bean stitch, and she took it to make a cowl. The cowl that I'm going to be doing is another pattern that she has that's offered doing the large bean stitch, and I don't actually have it printed out, but it has ribbing on the edges. So I'll show you some of my work next week when I get further along with my projects. And here she has also used the large bean stitch, and these are all crochet projects that she has done, and I think they're just beautiful. And so that's a pair of fingerless mitts, and all these patterns are free on Ravelry. So if you look up Mille Cowl or Rebecca Langford, you can find all of her projects. Here's a nice little hat that she has. And so these are projects that she took the same stitch and she designed the projects for you. Here is a little bag that you could use for the beach bag or whatever you like, just a regular handbag. But I thought that was pretty cool. And you could possibly use this Kreinik custom quarter to make the handle. So those Kreinik custom quarters are really wonderful to use. And so I would venture to say, if you get a moment, you can take a look at those on www.alpacadirect.com. You might find it very interesting and useful tool for your handicrafts, not just knitting and crochet, but in sewing and different projects like that. So that's pretty cool. also, let's go ahead and take a look at the pattern. The zigzag pattern, and if we look at here's my Facebook Live content that I have for today. The zigzag scarf pattern is a 12 stitch repeat, and I used the number 6 needles, and the whole pattern is knit 5, knit 2 together, knit 4, knit front and back. That's what you do all the way along. So you can decide how wide you want the scarf, and since we know it's a 12 stitch repeat, you could do 3 repeats of 12 would be 36, and 4 repeats 48, and 5 would be 60, and 6 would be 72, and so on and so forth. And if you're going to do the cowl, I did 144 stitches on mine. Let me show you how I changed the pattern first to make it into a cowl, because when we're doing the scarf, we're knitting it flat. So then we look at the cowl and we go, how do we make this project so we can actually do it in the round? And here's how you do it. So if I'm looking at my little calculations here, the pattern is knit 5, knit 2 together, knit 4, knit front and back. So on round number 2, it would be purl 5, purl 2 together, purl 4, purl front and back. That's the whole pattern. That's the only change I had to make. So if I follow rounds 1 and round 2, I will get the same pattern as if I were knitting it flat and just did knit 5, knit 2 together, knit 4, knit front and back. Okay? So, and when I decided, oh, maybe I would like to do mitts for this project, okay? And use the same pattern for along the cuff. So the first thing I asked myself is, I'm using this fingering weight yarn, which is, you know, like about the same thickness of yarn that you might use for doing a pair of socks. And I know that a lot of people say that however many stitches you use on your sock is close to the amount that you might use on your hands. So when I do my socks, it's 56 stitches. Now, my hands are a little bit smaller, and I actually like my mittens and gloves to actually stay on my hand, because the worst thing when you put them on your hands is if they're falling off all the time, you can't really get anything done because they're in your way, so you'll end up taking them off. So what I did is I made the pattern, the repeat, a little bit shorter. So I took 2 stitches off this knit 5 and 2 stitches off this knit 4, which made it knit 3, knit 2 together, knit 2, knit front and back. And since it's in the round again, we have to add a round number 2 to maintain the garter stitch, right? Because it's in the round. So we have purl 3, purl 2 together, purl 2, purl front and back. So that's all you do, and then you can make your cuff. Another way that is handy is if you've done mitts, mittens, or anything like that in similar weight yarn, look on your Ravelry page of that project and see how many stitches you cast on and what size needle you used for that project. Now, when I'm using this Mille Pillory and Mille Pillory Luxe, the Mille Pillory Luxe, it has the glitter, and the one without the glitter is the regular Mille Pillory. When I'm using this yarn, I've used all the way from a number 5 needle all the way down to a number 2 needle, and it looks great. Okay, so you don't be afraid to change needle sizes if you need to get the right gauge or the right fit for your hand. So here is the start of my cowl, and I'll show you again these next week so you can see. If you notice here, you know that I like to use these hair bands from the regular beauty supply store because they're inexpensive, and if I drop them on the floor, I don't care. Okay, so a couple of things to think about. Always use a needle that's a couple sizes larger to cast on. And then I always use a pink band for my beginning of the round. So I know when I've first where the beginning of my round is, especially with the cowl, because I don't want to actually use this yarn and not change the pattern, because it'll mess up the pattern if I don't follow the knit part and the purl part, right? So also we do 2 rounds in each colorway before we change. So this will be 2 rounds of the green, 2 rounds of the blue, 2 rounds of the gray, and so on and so forth. And if you look right here, if you look, this is where I'm changing the colors. See, this is where I started, right here at the bottom. It's a seamless change. The only things I want you to think about when you're changing colors is don't yank on it too tight, because if you get really tight stitches, that will be visible there. But if you keep your sit gauge about the same, then it's seamless. You can't tell. Okay, so this brings me to one thing. I want to stop for 1 minute. We had some Facebook Live posters that were talking, when I was talking about this tabulated shawl, and I said that you can carry the yarns up the sides using your knit stitches, and I showed them this little edge like that. They said, can you please show us again how to do this? So I brought this with me so that I can show you how you would change colors, okay? And when I'm talking to myself in my head, what I'm thinking about is old color, new color, old color, okay? So, when I have just finished knitting with this one yarn, that is the yarn, I'm gonna be grabbing this yarn is gonna be my next color. That's gonna be my new color that I'm gonna be using. So, alrighty. Alright, now I did it wrong. So we wanted old, new, old. So we gotta bring this old, new, old. There you go. And then it's attached. And you're ready to go ahead and continue on with your knitting. So I wanted to show the Facebook Live customers that, and that was all I needed to show you on that. Okay, so when I wanted to talk to you about the My Baggie, I just wanted to show you this project bag, and it has a bunch of yarn. I have like 6 skeins in it, and this is the large size My Baggie, and again, it's a zebra tote, and our giveaway for today is the 2 small zebra totes, and they have zippered top, and the way that you enter to win this project, these little bags, is to post comments in the comment section. Let us know what you're working on, and tell us maybe the name of the project that you're working on. Our pictures are always fabulous because we love learning from you, and so we always want to learn something new. And if you have any questions about anything, such as how to carry the yarn up the side there, go ahead and ask them, and I will try and answer the questions right away if I can, or I will address it in the next Facebook Live post. If I possibly can do that, I will do that. All right, so I wanted to make sure and tell you about the custom quarter that was won, and the winner for this last week was Becky Barsky Blaine. Congratulations, you won this Krenek custom quarter. And this is a wonderful little tool. So I hope that you enjoy it. You go ahead and get in touch with us and let us know what your shipping address is, and we can get it in the mail to you. So congratulations, and I hope you enjoy it and use it to maybe make Christmas garland or whatever it is that you want to make with it. It's totally awesome. And let me just show you.
We have lots of people saying hi. We've got some bunch of people on the East Coast, so
hello everyone.
New York and Pennsylvania.
That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing with me today. It's so nice to have all of you here. And I'm so happy to be back home. There's nothing like home sweet home. Anyways, so this right here is the beginnings of either a mitten or mitt. I'll have to show it to you next week, and I'm doing it in the round. And once again, this one is an 8-stitch repeat. And so I have markers indicating where my stitch repeats are. And I'm going ahead and carrying this yarn. I'll knit it for 2 rows, and then I grab the other yarn, and then I don't twist the yarns around each other. You just drop the one and pick up the other and continue on your merry way. If I get this untangled here, I can show you what it looks like when it's knit. This is a tail right here that needs to be wound in, but you can see it's going to be totally seamless on both sides. You cannot see where you're carrying the yarn up the center. So even if you can use this technique. Say you're making a sweater with this lovely yarn, right? And you're afraid that it's gonna pool. You can knit your sweater in the round. You can take 2 skeins of this, knit around, and then when you get to the next you knit to the new round, then you can pick up the other strand and just do it around and around, and it's invisible. You can't see it. All you have to do is make sure not to tighten up or choke those stitches as you bring it around, or leave it too baggy. You got to check and make sure that your tension is the same as you start again, and then it'll look completely invisible and beautiful. This next week I am going to be making one or some of these patterns for you to see, and I'm going to be using this Manos del Uruguay. This is the grande. I've chosen white because I think that it'll be versatile and go with anything, a nice neutral for me. So I'll be knitting with that, and here are a couple other colorways in this beautiful yarn. And so no itch whatsoever. You can have it next to your skin of your face and no itch at all.
Someone wanted to see this project again too, so just...
Which one?
The shawl.
Oh, yes. This is the one that I'm doing with the Mille Pillory Luxe, and I just started this one. And the pattern, when you look at the design on this pattern and they tell you, they have you knit it on a much tighter needle. And I think this needle is a number 7. But I like it when it's knit up on a looser gauge, and I totally love it. And it looks nice on both sides. And all I'm doing is using the solid color where I knit back and forth, and then I pick up the new strand and then knit back and forth with that one. And it gives you these little stripes. The key with being successful on this zigzag scarf is to use 2 different colorways. Don't get 4 skeins in the same colorway. Get 2 in one colorway and 2 in the other colorway, and alternate them back and forth. And then it gives you that zigzag, these different colorations in here, which I think adds to the beauty of the scarf. And this Mille Pillory, I've seen this scarf knit in so many different products, and I by far love the Mille Pillory. So if you like this design, I would encourage you to use this particular yarn because I think it looks best of all the different options that I've seen out there. And it makes for a beautiful project. It's not itchy, and I do like the bit of stellina in there when it's added in there. And the one with stellina is called Mille Pillory Luxe, and we just brought that into our shop, and I really, really like it. So I thought you might enjoy it too. So anyway, so that is this project, and it's the same. See, this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 repeats. 5 repeats, and let's see what this other one has. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It has, let's see if it's as wide. Yep. Yeah, they both have the same amount of repeats on them. Interesting. It's funny how the different colorways look different, but yeah, pretty cool. So I love this yarn. You enjoy that.
Why don't you show all the accessories together so they can see how all these go together?
Oh yeah, totally. Okay, so here's your scarf. Here is the cowl, and it's kind of reversible too. If you look at it, can you see how it has some sideways stripes on it? It's kind of cool. Do you see that? What I was thinking I'm dropping stitches. That is never a good plan. So if you ever drop stitches, just put them back on your needle. You can reorient them properly later, but you want to get them on your needle so you don't lose them. Okay, I was making a mess with that. But this cowl, I was thinking what I was going to do or might like to do is try different needle sizes. Now I've seen it before where people will start with the number 5, knit an inch or 2, then change to a number 6, knit an inch or 2, change to 7, change to 8, and what you get is a cone shape. So it's almost like you can make a little capelet out of it. And so I was thinking I might do that. So I'll let you know next week how this turns out here. I'll show you my progress next week. And then of course these nice little, I'm thinking I want to make mittens out of them. Now this doesn't seem like it's very big, but if you put it on my wrist, do you see how, I don't know. If I make it too much bigger, it might be too big. So I think this might be about right. And that was 48 stitches. Now, when I do my socks, I use 56, but we'll see how it goes. If I need to change it, I'll let you know next week. So we'll be able to see how we progress along on that. In summary, I just wanted to kind of encourage you all out there. If you find a pattern that you love and you knit that pattern and you go, I love that, make other accessories out of that pattern. Take that pattern and say, what is the actual pattern? How can I change it so that I can knit it in a round? And most lace patterns, or any patterns, lace will have what we call a rest round, which means it'll be some decreases and increases, and then the next row will be a knit round or a purl round. So you can change that round in between and not have to mess with the increases or decreases and get some great effects. So you guys go on out there, look at your projects, see what you enjoy knitting, and make yourself some accessories out of these lovely patterns, because they're here. We might as well use our imagination and make some beautiful things to go with them, so we don't just have one item. We have, maybe you can make hats. Oh geez, it's endless, the things that you can do with these patterns. So you have a great week, and next week we're going to be talking about how to make our edges look lovely in both knitting and crochet. So I'm going to be making these Malia patterns, and I'll be showing you what I did to make my edges look terrific. So you guys have a great week. Oh, don't forget to post comments in the comment section so that you can enter for a chance to win the My Baggie, these little zippered pouches.
Summer sale.
And what's that?
Our summer sale just started too.
Oh yes, also we have a summer sale going on right now, and it's for socks and summer yarns. So you take a look at that on www.alpacadirect.com, and have a terrific week, and we'll talk to you next Tuesday at 9:30 a.m. You take care.